But first, let's talk about Sydney Mayor Clover Moore. She's doing a wonderful job leading Australia's largest city. How do I know? Because she's got so much time on her hands. She's got so much time, she's able to go around policing flags. The Sydney Council banned their own flag, designed in 1908 because, and I quote, it contains no acknowledgement of First Nations people. So all the offending flags were seized and put into storage while the council conducts a review of the city's symbols and emblems, many of which Clover Moore describes as, and I quote, problematic. But this week it was revealed that a Sydney flag that had failed to be captured was spotted during a Zoom call in the office of Liberal councillor Lyndon Gammon. Some quick-thinking council officials worked out when Gammon would be away from his office and they snuck down, seized the dangerous flag and removed it before it could hurt any Indigenous people. Liz, putting Canada aside, do we have the least serious politicians in the world?
Don't call them politicians. Do not give them that satisfaction. They are local government councillors and acting all the world for it. If one single ratepayer in Sydney can tell me how their quality of life has been increased by this obsession of you pay these people ripping down flags that they don't agree with. Congrats to Lyndon Gannon, who then went and purchased one of his own. So that one had been stolen. He was like, all right, fine, I'll just get my own copy, thank you very much. But then he had voted in favour, the Indigenous councillor who put up a motion then saying we need a review, not just into the flags and those symbolisms, but a review into the statues of historical figures around Sydney. He voted in favour of that, so he's lost some points there. But Gannon made the point that by removing the flag, you are saying that we're embarrassed by our past without even having completed the review. Not that we need a review to tell us to be embarrassed about our past. No amount of reviews is going to achieve that for me. But this will be a never-ending stream of reviews. Today it's flags. Tomorrow it's statues. What's next?
This sort of stuff is, frankly, this is why we lost the Voice debate, because people thought that instead of doing something for another group who really needed it, it was about taking away something from, white Australians or our recent history, our colonial history, whatever you want to call it. So we were going to lose something, or we had to be ashamed of our history, or we were going to lose a heritage that we were proud of. And the debate was reframed like that. And as soon as it was framed like that, it went from 60-40 yes to 60-40 no. It was an absolute disgrace. Now, if anyone can tell me, A, what the City of Sydney flag actually looked like before the Telegraph put this story on their front page, I'll give you a Mars bar for that, or B, what having a review into it or changing it is going to do for disadvantaged Indigenous communities, I'll give you $1 million. Because, of course, no one actually knew what the flag looked like. It was only picked up on, apparently this guy was in a Zoom call or a Zoom meeting or something.
It was in the background.
And there was some sort of busybody going, hang on, is that a tall ship? Oh my God, trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. And it's this sort of insane obsession with history, and a history that you cannot change, a history that is there for better or worse, instead of a present where there are very real, confronting present problems. It's this obsession with the past that is killing people. Not only is it not doing anything about the present problems, but it's actually hampering work about the present problems because people just back away from it.
It's
100%.
distracting.
If they think, oh, hang on, if I vote yes for the Voice, they're going to take away Australia Day, they're going to change the flag, they're going to tell me I have to be ashamed to be white, I'm not doing it. And as soon as the debate becomes that, it absolutely destroys any progress. And so these numpties, these idiots, aren't just wasting everybody's time and money and giving the Daily Telegraph an awesome splash, but they're actually causing real practical harm to Indigenous people. And they should be ashamed of themselves, and they should get on one of those tall ships and give themselves a cat o' nine tails until they can't breathe anymore.
Well, it wasn't the only flag controversy this week. In Tasmania on Monday, they decided to fly the Danish flag at the Tasmanian Parliament. And why not? Mary has become Queen of Denmark. She's a local. They wanted to celebrate. The mistake they made, Liz and Joe, was they normally fly three flags. They fly the Australian flag, the Tasmanian flag and the Indigenous flag. So just for a day, They removed the Indigenous flag to fly the flag of Denmark, and all hell broke loose. A barrister and newspaper columnist, Greg Barnes, called the decision appalling. The Tasmanian Aboriginal Centre said it showed a lack of respect for Indigenous people because the flag must be shown, and I quote, as an acknowledgement of the true owners of the land.
Oh, don't get me started on the true owners. That very term is indicative of what you just talked about, Joe. The fact that people want to take away what others see as, well, hang on a minute, you don't own this place any more than I do. Your connection to the rivers, the waters, whatever you want to talk about at any given amount of time is not greater than mine. And it's that taking that really arcs people up. I loved that point. But for crying out loud, how often does a real estate agent from Tassie become queen of one of the oldest monarchies in Europe? It was less than 24 hours. Get over it. And how about you just join in celebrating that? That's a pretty amazing feat for a little girl from Tassie. That's all it was. It was a local tribute.
What are the point? How does a real estate agent even get respected, let alone become Queen of Denmark?
Good point.
I mean, they're the only ones who are less popular than journalists. We thank them every day for their work.
The other concern about this controversy is what they're saying is the Indigenous flag is on par with the Australian flag or the Tasmanian flag. And I think most Australians would have a problem with that because we want to be united as one country, not continually divided. But when you say the Indigenous flag is as significant and is as important as our national flag, are you not creating a massive division and people don't want that?
Well, again, it's this terrible mistake of framing all these debates in the negative. So instead of saying, and again, you can take it back to the voice debate if you want or anything, but it's saying that you have to lose something. For us to gain something, you have to lose something. So saying, no, you can't put the Danish flag up there because the Indigenous flag has to be up there, every day for a millennia because it's only once in 900 years that a Danish monarch abdicates, apparently. That is the problem with it. And again, you can take it to the Australia Day debate, which we'll talk about later on, but saying, no, it's not enough that you recognise us in the Constitution or give us a voice to Parliament so we can advise politicians on what's best for our communities. We have to take that from you. You have to lose, you have to sacrifice that day. The minute you frame it in a negative, again, you go from 60-40 one way to 60-40 another. And it does my head in that people are so self-indulgent and so desperate to virtue signal on all these completely meaningless issues that they're willing to cause real, actual, material, economic and social harm to Indigenous people just so they can show how virtuous and noble and pure they are on completely insignificant symbolic issues. And none of these people should be able to sleep a wink at night. And what political party is Greg Barnes in these days? I can't keep track. He was a Liberal, he was a Democrat, he was something. Greg Barnes for Greg Barnes. He
makes Peter Slipper look like a loyalist.
Right. He gets very outraged by just about everything. I think he was campaigning for Julian Assange last time I checked. So he knows how to pick a
that is worthwhile bile. Anyone who wants to campaign for Julian Assange.
Now we'll talk about the horseshoe effect, where the hard left and the hard right always meet up.
Wipe the list of the next half hour of this show. Let's talk about Julian. Actually, let's not. We should stick to the script.